So today on Stauffer Garage, we're going to be deep cleaning this Chevy Silverado on the inside and outside, and as you can tell, this one is quite dirty. There's plenty of spilled dip, there's plenty of skull tins everywhere. I found a bunch underneath the seats when we pulled those out, but this thing's just filthy, so it's going to need a complete transformation on the inside and the outside. And if you guys are new and you like these sort of videos, smash subscribe, hit that thumbs up button, and let's go ahead and get started with this video. Now, one of my favorite parts is what is hiding underneath the seats when you remove it, and in this case, the owner's wallet was underneath there that he completely lost, had no idea where it went. I call that like the bottomless pit between your center console and your seats, because sometimes when you lose stuff in there, you never see it again, unless you do a detail like this. So once I pulled it out, gave it back to him, he was really happy to find it again. I want you guys to comment down below what type of car would you like to see, or vehicle for that matter, would you like to see me detail in an upcoming video. I'm trying to get some ideas of something different, but also something that maybe you guys would want to see. So let me know in the comments below, what would you guys like to see me detail? Now, with all the debris and all the junk removed from the inside of the car, it is time to do the vacuuming stage of the detail, so that way we can see how much of this floor needs to be extracted. In this case, the floor mats did their job, as you can see where the carpet is darker, but the rest of the carpets on the interior did have to get extracted, with this driver's side being the main focus. The owner of this vehicle mentioned to me that he drives 50,000 miles a year for work, doing sales, so he's all over the place, and that's why just the driver's side was the dirtiest portion of the vehicle, and that's why we gave the most attention to those carpets, and then the rest of it just got a light pass with the extractor later on. Now, if you haven't seen already, Fox Clean is completely stocked with detailing brushes, pet hair brushes. We have the drying towels back in stock, along with the super plush 500 GSM microfiber towels in 3 colors. But we also have drill brushes now in orange, which you guys will see me use all of these products in this video. There's also a coupon code for 15% off on your first order. If you haven't already, make sure you go check it out. I run out of these towels super quick out of everything, so if you guys are wanting to pick those up, make sure you head on over there after the video to foxclean.com. Now for these floor mats, because they are super dirty, I'm using my all-purpose cleaner instead of a carpet cleaner because this thing is soaked up with dirt and grease and everything, and you need to break that down. So once I heavily saturate that floor mat, I'm using my drill brushes to get all that dirt loosened up before we use the extractor with hot water to remove it all. And for this case, for the driver's side floor mat, we did have to do about 3 passes to get all of that dirt out and get that extractor sucking up just plain old clean water to get all that dirt out. One thing in my videos, if you haven't noticed, I do differentiate my carpet lines that I like to leave on floor mats. And for this, I have a tiny bristle brush that I like to use. But in this shot in particular, I didn't realize it just kind of something I do is I use my knuckle as kind of like a spacer to figure out the distance between each stripe to make sure they're even. But I don't know how many times I've done carpet lines and then I have to redo it because it's just not perfect enough. And I think it just is something that sets off the detail at the end when you return it to the customer to see those carpet lines and see that extra touch, if you will. Now from a process standpoint, this is the main reason why I like to do carpets first before I clean the interior. I usually put a towel down on the carpet after it's all done when I'm doing the upper panels, but when you see me pull out the drill brush, you'll see how much of this stuff gets flinged everywhere. The door panels get covered in like dirt droplets of water. It just gets really messy, so I always try to do the carpets in the interior first before I do the top panels. Now when it comes to cleaning carpets inside of cars, unless you remove the whole thing, sometimes it gets really tricky to get into all the different corners, especially on the driver's side underneath the pedals. So in the drill brush kit I sell on foxclean.com, I have the larger head for the flat areas, and then this cone one works really well for getting up underneath the gas pedals, along the trim, and along the corners and stuff like that, and all the different contours to make sure that you get all of that dirt kind of lifted to the surface for your extractor to do the job. Now for all the plastic panels, especially even this cup holder area, I'm just using all-purpose cleaner diluted 10:1, and then I'm spraying it on, and then I'm using my detailing brushes to get into all these nooks and crannies without having to completely dissect and remove every little individual component of this center console. But you can see how I'm using the bristles to try to lift them to the surface and then push them along out of the crevice, so that way I can use my microfiber towel to collect that dirt so it just doesn't get pushed down below, it actually gets removed. For the leather seats, I'm spraying on leather cleaner and I'm using my drill brush to get into all of those nooks and crannies. Plus, these seats did have a fair bit of caked on grease and dirt, so I got that all removed with the drill brush. I used a screwdriver to kind of move some of the product along that was in between those cracks and making sure all of those threads and seams were completely clean before applying my leather conditioner to help bring back that shine and also make sure that the leather over time doesn't deteriorate.
Think of you when spring comes, like it's something in the air at that time. Don't know why, always dream of you when spring comes. It's like the heat on my skin takes me back to the time met you on a Friday, halfway out at the door of the club, playing soul on the weekends, stayed in bed till Wednesday. Fell in love with you right there and then. I was young, couldn't see that.
Now once the interior is completely cleaned up and put back together, I'm going to go ahead and get the car outside in the shade and start working on the exterior car. And the first thing that I like to do is attack the wheels, get some wheel cleaner sprayed on, get some wheel degreaser sprayed on the actual tire faces and wheel faces themselves. In this case, this is actually an acid that I sprayed on the chrome face along with the tire. And as you can see, just by not even touching the wheel, but just spraying on the cleaner, I wouldn't have never thought these wheels were chrome until I sprayed them off with a pressure washer. And without even touching them, I could have left them as is and the customer would have been extremely excited with how they turned out. But later on, we'll get into the actual cleaning of the inside of the barrel and those wheel arches to make sure we get every single piece of dirt off these wheels and tires. Now for all of you like those foam cannon shots, I made sure I slowed down some of these clips and got extra close so that way you guys can see. But I've been saying in the last several videos, I'm using the MTM foam cannon with my new pressure washer, and this thing lays on such a thick layer of foam. It's honestly fun to do, just from a appearance standpoint of loading up the car surface with foam, so that way any dirt on the surface gets saturated in liquid, gets loosened up, or drips off the paint just by applying the foam before we get to the wash mid phase in the 2-bucket method. Now because the car is in the shade, except for a little bit, I'm running out of time from the sun standpoint, but while all that foam is dripping off the paint, that's when I like to hit the wheels with my brushes, get the wheel face completely scrubbed, using my softer brush for the actual chrome finish face of the wheel, and then I have a bristle brush that I stick into the actual, the barrel of the wheel, if you will, or the inner sides, to make sure I clean all of that dirt and make sure the caliper is completely cleaned before scrubbing the inside of the wheel arches and spraying those. But the wheel arches in this thing have that fabric liner, and if you've ever cleaned fabric lined wheel wells, they are quite the process. They take a while to make sure you get all of that dirt completely out and completely cleaned. Now all detailers know time is of the essence, and in this case the owner needed the truck back, so I wasn't able to polish it and ceramic coat it like I was hoping I was going to have time for. But for this one I just had a spray on sealant that kind of sprays on and you rinse it off on the truck itself to allow the surface to beat all that water off. But once that's done, I'm using my super mega thick drying towels. These ones are on Fox Clean that everyone loves, and I sell out of these super fast because this one large towel is super heavy to the point where you can drag it across the surface and get majority of the water off. Plus this one towel dries the entire vehicle. So what I like to do is use the towel to dry the entire surface first of the paint and the windows, and then after I've gotten the whole car dried off, that's when I use that towel to dry off the wheel faces, dry off the tire faces before I apply a tire gel, making sure I do that step last before I have to wash the towel after the detail. Now, for the life of this truck, the owner had always driven through car wash tunnels, which they do an okay job, but they miss a lot of spots. Plus, they're really bad for your paint because those brushes never get cleaned. They're always just carrying dirt over to the next car, and you don't know how often they change those out. So if you use them, I get it. Time is, is sometimes hard to find to hand wash your car. But when I dropped this car off, the owner just was blown away with how shiny the wheels were. I don't think he even realized they were chrome. So the truck turned out amazing, and I hope you guys enjoyed today's detail. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next detail.